You know, as a management team, we're keenly aware that the people that give us money are our investors. And for that money, we are businessmen running a mining company as opposed to mining guys running a mining company. And so we are keenly aware that our investors need to turn paper profits into real profits.
Northern Empire Resources Corp. is a sponsor and client of PinnacleDigest.com.
We've arrived in Las Vegas, and while gamblers from all over try their luck at the tables and slots, junior miners are searching for gold, not cash, in the deserts of Nevada. Gold has held stubbornly above 1,300 for all of 2018, and it feels like a breakout could be coming. The precious metal has proven resilient against a volatile U.S. stock market and crashing cryptocurrency prices. U.S. gold production increased for the 4th consecutive year in 2017, and there's one reason behind the increase: Nevada. Nevada produced about 5.5 million ounces of gold in 2016 and is responsible for about 80% of U.S. gold production. The mining-friendly state boasts some 160 million ounces of historic gold production and tens of millions still proven in the ground. While market participants focus on the next Trump tweet and the wild swings in the U.S. stock market, few have noticed gold's stability. Gold has been performing like the safe haven asset that it is during this recent bout of volatility. Recently, Goldman Sachs has turned bullish on the precious metal for the first time in over 5 years. Below my feet, a leisurely 2-hour drive from Las Vegas in southern Nevada, junior miner Northern Empire is hoping to unlock value through the drill bit. Like many regions of Nevada, we are surrounded by historic and active producing gold mines. Today we are meeting with Northern Empire's chairman, Doug Hurst, who founded Newmarket Gold that was sold to Kirkland Lake for about $1 billion in late 2016. Doug, you're coming off 2 historic exits. The first for $700 million with International Royalty, followed up by a smooth $1 billion with Newmarket Gold. You've had the type of success many don't dare dream of in the mining sector. Can you talk about the combination of factors that have led to that success thus far in your career?
I think that my skill set is a unique one in the industry, where I've got my background as a geologist and I've got one foot in the technical world. And my background as a mining analyst, so that was the capital markets financial side. So I'm bridging the 2 worlds, gives me the skill set to pick a decent project and to find the money to develop it. So the executive teams that I was lucky enough to work with at those 2 successes is being duplicated again at Northern Empire.
For a junior mining company to be successful, as you know, everything has to go right. Seasoned management, which you've talked about, the asset, the share structure. You guys have about 66 million shares outstanding, roughly 15 million in the treasury. Can you talk about the assets Northern Empire controls?
Yeah, the luck we had in buying the Sterling was extraordinary, because it has all aspects of development exploration. So the Sterling is a permitted resource with production facilities in place, and that's the extraordinary part. So that's the base value of the company. We also have brownfields exploration around the Sterling, so we can find more ounces with the drill rig. And then Crown presents both brownfields, so we can add more ounces around the ounces that we have there. And then there's exceptional greenfields, so brand new exploration possibilities in the north.
Never been drilled before.
Exactly, exactly.
Doug, can you walk us through some of the identified targets and the planned development for Sterling here in 2018?
Yeah, so corporately we're going to do about 15,000 meters of drilling. We're about halfway through that drill program. We are still doing some drilling at Sterling, and we're trying to figure out where some new ounces are. We're nipping around the edges of the resource, and then the bulk of that 15,000 meters will be on the Crown, which is in the north.
Okay. On the drive up here, mine manager, Chuck, who drove us up here, he was talking about some small scale production. As part of the reclamation, you guys are processing a bit of ore. Can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, we're doing what's called rinsing the leach pad, and the leach pad is from the old 144 zone. Mining of that zone stopped in 2015, and we're continuing to leach and run the processing plant, and we're recovering about 1/2 ounce to 3/4 of an ounce a day from that, and we'll just keep going until the recovery of gold diminishes.
So we've driven about 10 minutes north. We're at the northern claim of the property here. Behind us is the Crown Block. Can you talk about the pit that we're looking at?
Sure. Behind us is the Secret Pass pit. And when Glamis and Ray Rock operated this open pit heap leach mine, this is where the bulk of the ounces came from. So this is the biggest of the 3 pits on the Crown Block.
So in the background, there's a massive pit on the other side of the highway, the Bullfrog. Can you talk about how those structures might be related?
Sure. The Bullfrog is on the same fault structure as the 3 deposits that we have in the Crown. So that's Daisy, which is the one closest to Bullfrog, Secret Pass, which is the one directly behind us, and Secret Pass is where the bulk of the ounces came from, and then our last deposit, which is SNA, and that's on the eastern end. They're all on the same, it's called the detachment structure, so it's a fault zone.
And all 3 of those projects make up the Crown Block, and that's where the majority of exploration is going to take place this year?
Correct. So of the 15,000 meters, the majority of that drilling will occur on the Crown Block. And the reason why it's going to occur on the Crown Block is because we feel like the potential to add a lot of ounces with the drill is all in the Crown.
So it's going to be a very busy drilling season in 2018. Can you talk about the inherent advantages of operating in a place like Nevada from a permitting and political standpoint?
Yeah, we like to describe it as Nevada's the kind of place where you'd bring your grandkids or your kids on holiday. And why is that? It's a safe jurisdiction. You've got security of title, so if you have something, you know you're going to own it. It's the kind of place where you can, if you discover a big deposit that's worth developing, it's something you can permit. And so that implies a great place to work, a great place to do business, and a great place to invest.
And all the infrastructure in a developed country.
Absolutely.
So Doug, the Crown Block has 3 known deposits on it. You guys are going to be drilling in and around all of them this summer. Can you talk about some of the best results to date?
Sure. We drilled a hole into the middle of the Daisy deposit. We got 123 meters of 1.4 grams, so that was a nice thick intersection. The second deposit, as you're moving from west to east, is Secret Pass, and we got a 70-meter intersection of about 1.79 grams. And then the deposit that's furthest east is called SNA, and we have only just started drilling at SNA.
So how many meters in total does Northern Empire plan to drill this summer here at the projects?
Yeah, the current program will end up drilling about 15,000 meters, though we are implementing a permitting process for a much, much larger drill program, and that will start sometime in October.
Before visiting Doug and the crew in Nevada, we sat down with Michael Allen, the president and CEO of Northern Empire. He was instrumental in securing the Sterling asset. Mike, from the boardroom to the project, you were instrumental in securing these assets for Northern Empire. Can you talk about how the deal came together?
Yeah, it was really a matter of being in the right place at the right time. The board approached me because of my expertise. I'm an advanced project guy, and I've been working in Nevada for about 10 years. We were able to leverage my intellectual capital to make the Sterling acquisition. We were able to use the board's expertise, using people like Adrian Fleming, John Robbins, Doug Hurst as backing, to be able to raise money to make this acquisition in a time in the market where very few groups could actually raise that capital. So it was really a coming together of my knowledge and the board's strength, and being able to identify a high quality asset within Nevada.
Since the acquisition, Northern Empire expanded its footprint quite significantly in Southern Nevada around its projects. Can you talk about the reason behind that?
Yeah, ultimately it's about geology and understanding. When we made the acquisition, we noticed that the host rocks for large Carlin deposits was immediately adjacent to some of our deposits, and that geology trended off the property further to the south. So that was an obvious target of what we needed to stake. Further, as we started to understand the property and work with it, we identified several key north-south structures that hosted mineralization, and that allowed us to expand the project further to the south and get it to its current configuration of 141 square kilometers.
Northern Empire has an aggressive drill program planned for this summer. The drills are turning as we speak. Can you talk about what the company needs to do to potentially achieve a re-rate?
Well, we're heading into a very exciting time for the company right now. We've spent a lot of effort to understand the geology and what the controls of mineralization of the Crown series of deposits. I'm talking about Daisy, Secret Pass, and SNA. So what we see there is the potential for a linkage in the geology of what drives mineralization for all three deposits. And if we are able to prove that out through our drilling, there's the potential there for a very significant discovery within Nevada, which will lead to that re-rating of the Northern Empire share price.
So Mike, everyone keeps talking about the grade at Sterling.
Yep.
We got some core right here. You want to explain what it's all about?
Yeah, and we've got two holes here, 1704 and 1710. And what is remarkable about this is the grade. I mean, the lowest grade sample here is 5.5 grams per ton. We've got three other samples here, 32, 37, and 44 grams per ton. What causes Sterling, and this is the Sterling mine, to be such a high-grade deposit is it's actually a Carlin deposit, but that is structurally confined. So all the fluids that create a large deposit, a large Carlin-style deposit, got confined to a very small area. All that gold got deposited into a small, discrete structure that leads to this exceptional grade that we're seeing in front of us right now.
We've moved over to the SNA deposit on the Crown Block. You mentioned some of the similarities between the host rock here and with some deposits at the Carlin Trend. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the Carlin deposits have four common constituents. They have structure, which we have here. We have the right chemistry, which tends to be mercury, arsenic, antimony, and in fact there's an old mercury mine, the remnants of one right behind me. So up at the top of the hill, there's an old mercury mine, so clearly we have that. And then the host rock is a dolomite and a limestone. And the units in Carlin are called Roberts Mountain Formation and Lone Mountain Dolomite. And we have both of those windows here at the SNA. And then of course we have a deposit, so that's the SNA deposit.
And we passed the drill rigs turning just a few kilometers ago. What's the main goal of the drilling here at SNA?
So there's two goals. One is proof of concept. So Glamis and Rayrock did a whole bunch of drilling on the SNA. And so what we need to do is verify that data with holes in the deposit. And then we're going to try to expand the deposit incrementally around the edges.
We've driven all over from the Sterling mine down to the Crown Block. How large is the land package in total, and then what is the size of the area you're going to focus on this season?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Alex. So when we bought the Sterling, it was about 50 square kilometers, the claim group was. And we've expanded that to 141 square kilometers. And that has included a whole bunch of really good looking geology, which we saw was open for staking. So that's why we stake so much ground.
And speaking with yourself and the team back in Vancouver, you've mentioned a quest to liquidity. And I think that's part of the culture at Northern Empire. Can you expand upon what that means to you and what it may mean for your shareholders?
Yeah, you know, as a management team, we're keenly aware that, that the people that give us money are our investors. And for that money, we are businessmen running a mining company as opposed to mining guys running a mining company. And so we are keenly aware that our investors need to turn paper profits into real profits. And because of the spread of assets within this company, it gives us a lot of optionality. It gives us many routes to creating that value and allowing our investors to turn paper profits into real profits. Because we have the Sterling mine as a permitted asset, it's something that we could put into production. Because we have brownfields resources in the Crown, we can add ounces by just expanding drilling around those deposits. And we also have some fantastic greenfields, Carlin type systems that we could go for.
That have never been drilled before.
That have never been drilled before. So we have gold on the surface, we have structure on the surface, we have great host rocks, and there's no drill holes. So they're extraordinary targets. And in Nevada, that's a really rare gem.
Doug, thanks for having us out today. Great luck this season.
Thank you so much.
Northern Empire is led by one of the most established, successful management teams in the Canadian junior mining industry. Its senior management and directors are former founders, presidents, and directors of some of Canada's most notable recent buyouts in the gold sector. Northern Empire's chairman, Doug Hurst, and his $1 billion sale of Newmarket Gold a little over a year ago to Kirkland Lake makes him a player to watch in Canada's mining space. Northern Empire's drills are turning, and the company is cashed up with nearly $15 million in its treasury. If the gold sector heats up, retail and institutional investors are going to be looking at Nevada. Our coverage on Northern Empire as it begins its most robust drilling season yet is only just beginning.